Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some malicious compliance. Our first story today comes to us from Rabid Rathian. Don't fix a problem that will cost the store a lot of money? You got it. Let's jump right in. Another tale from many years ago at my retail job. I was working in the fitting rooms on a Sunday morning at about 11:45 when it was still relatively quiet. Usually, it gets really busy from 12 p.m. onwards. And though the store manager had given me a rail of last season's clothes to mark down, I still had to keep the fitting rooms tidy and free of returns, and was starting on the back foot because the person who'd been in there on Saturday night had left a whole trolley of stuff I had to sort out and hang up before I could put it away. So I was focusing more on the returns, but anytime I had to go back in and answer the phones, I'd do another section of markdowns on the rail. Just after I'd put some footwear returns away and was heading back to the fitting room, I noticed a pretty significant problem in the footwear section. I took 2 to 3 steps towards it to go fix it, only to be accosted by the store manager coming around the corner. "OP, what are you doing?" I just finished putting some returns away and "Have you finished those markdowns I asked you to do?" "Not yet, but well, get back in there and do it." "I'm going to, but I just need to." "No, you don't. Just need to do anything except the job I'm paying you for. Now get back in there, do those markdowns, and stop wasting time wandering around out here." Okay. Goes back to fitting rooms. Over the next half hour or so, I could hear the store manager being paged to go to the front registers a lot. This might usually happen once a shift, if that, but from what I could hear over the PA system, she was having to go up there every 5 minutes. At 12:30, she comes storming into the fitting rooms. "Who was working stock and footwear?" "I don't know." "Well, find out. They put out some new boots but didn't take the price down for the thongs that were there before." Side note to non-Australians, when I say thongs, I'm talking about the rubber footwear worn in summer, not the skimpy underwear. "So I've just had to let nearly all those pairs of $50 boots go through for $12. "Oh, yeah?" "What do you mean, oh yeah?" "I saw the price was wrong earlier." "Well, why didn't you fix it?" "I tried to, and I tried to tell you it was wrong, but you told me to stop wasting time and get back in the fitting rooms." Manager slowly goes redder than Barnaby Joyce. No real fallout for me, but apparently the footwear stock worker got torn a new one when they came back from their break. I'd like to say the store manager learned from her mistake. The problem could have been identified and fixed a lot earlier, and therefore a lot more cheaply before 10 to 15 customers took advantage of the price screw-up if she hadn't decided to go on a power trip. But anyone who has worked with managers like that knows she learned absolutely nothing. OP in a comment down below added in another example from the same manager. She told me to go and recover, tidy up the intimate apparel section, but when I tried telling her another staff member had just finished doing that, so the area was pretty much spotless, she had a go at me about trying to get out of doing work and told me to go and recover it anyway. I was bored to tears because there was no work in that section to do. So I kept going across to the kidswear section to help the person working in there because it was a mess and they were struggling. Store manager saw me doing that twice and shouted at me to go back to the intimate apparel section, and that if she saw me outside my area again, I'd get counseled. I dawdled around the section playing Pokemon Go for the remaining 2 hours of my shift. At the end, she came up, looked around the intimate apparel department and said, "See, you managed to get it looking nice after all. Wasn't so hard, was it?" And then proceeded to go and have a go at the kidswear section worker for still having several aisles left to cover. Okay, at what point are you allowed to just go right up to your manager and just ask them straight out, "Were you born stupid, or are you just making an effort?" I also want to mention here that somebody absolutely dropped the ball. I mean, we're talking Retail 101. Customer claims the price was marked wrong, you take them back to the shelf and have them show you. You agree that it was wrong and you honor the price for that one customer. Then you grab the sign and take it with you so you don't get screwed by many more people. Do me a quick favor and take a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're actually not subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. This next story comes to us from Isaac of Lego. Just get it done. It'll be fine. Let's jump right in. I work at a robotic systems company. We design and build systems at our warehouse, and then ship and install it at the customer's facility. My job is to assemble and wire the system at our end, and another team installs. So I got this story secondhand. The product was for a large food company, and it basically sorted finished food products and stacked them on pallets. The customer already had 2 of these machines, and the new one was going to be integrated into the same computer system that the other 2 were running off of. The project manager, I'll call him Guy, was not a very smart dude and was not well liked. He had personal connections to the customer. He decided that, to make them happy, he would throw in a few extra features in the program. But he also decided there was no need to tell upper management, because that would bump the price up considerably. And so he emails my coworker John, the programmer. Hey John, I have some things that need to be added to the code for this job, but we need to keep this one off the books. He then explains what he promised to the customer. I don't know if that's a good idea, he said hesitantly. It could cause serious problems with the pre-existing system. No, it'll be fine, just get it done. John wasn't a fan of this, but at this point, he knew it wasn't a good idea to disagree with Guy. He decided that if something went terribly wrong, he had the emails to back him up. And hey, if something did go wrong, maybe Guy will actually get punished more than just a slap on the wrist. Anyway, he wrote the software and sent it off. We finished building the machine at our warehouse and had it tested. Everything checked out. So we packed it up and shipped it across the country to be reassembled by the install team and plugged into the original system. And the new program is downloaded. Catastrophic failure. The entire system goes down. This machine is the last step of the production line for the food company. This means that the entire facility is shut down until this system is up and running. And because it's a food place that deals with refrigerated food, this means that all the product going through this factory is spoiled. It took them 48 hours to fix this and get it running again. It ended up costing the customer tens of thousands of dollars in food product and lost revenue. Needless to say, Guy lost his job. No one was sad to see him go, but John is still at the company with not much more than a stern talking to. There's a quote I heard one time, but I can't remember where it's from. It's that sometimes what you get free costs you entirely too much. This is also another great example of making sure you keep documentation of everything while you're at work, because you never know when you're going to have to cover your own butt. This next story today comes to us from Naya Sonad. We're going to court? Okay, let's jump right in. The setting, United States, northern neck of Virginia. The situation, bought land and built a house on it. Back when my wife and I were much more newlywed than we are now, we hired ourselves an architect and went whole hog on having our cozy little dream home designed. While this was being done, we went shopping around for a parcel of land on which to have it built, which went quickly and easily. And we even got a pretty nice deal on a half-acre lot that was just far enough back in the sticks for us to be happy, but close enough to our jobs that it wasn't much of a commute. Best part of all, no homeowners association. There weren't any active back in that area because, point blank, it was full of poor people back there, dirt poor country types, and working poor wage slave types. We made very sure with our lawyer that no previous owner had ever had the title amended to allow for any HOA nonsense as well, because that's a thing some real estate developers like to do. They'll buy up a property, get the title amended, and force the membership of that property into a local HOA that they usually operate or are in cahoots with those that do, and then resell it with that as a new requirement for any prospective buyer to automatically agree to when they sign the title. Flash forward to August 2019. COVID was just around the corner, but nobody knew that yet. Everything was that which passes for normal out in those parts, and my wife and I had since moved to a different location, but retained that property as one of our various rentals. It was our dream home for several years, and we loved the place. Moving was tough. It was a good neighborhood out there, and folks were very welcoming. Then a company that's totally not named Ryan Homes or anything even slightly similar came in and spent some years buying everything up back there that got the market and pressuring folks into selling, which worked out for them only too well. And of course, they gentrified everything. For 3 years and some change, there was massive amounts of the old being torn down and hauled out, and the new being built up and sold. The HOA was built right in, because of course it was. Folks with money enough to throw down on crappily built houses that looked nice from the front moved in one by one and two by two. Property values in the area skyrocketed. Property taxes skyrocketed right along with them, and more of the less poor people were forced to sell because they got taxed out of their own homes. My wife and I knew what was coming from the get-go. We knew those dinguses from Totally Not Ryan Homes were going to come sniffing around our way, not to try to buy us out, but to see if they could finagle, schmooze, or threaten us into joining the HOA they were installing. It was inevitable. Lots of information is public record. They knew we had money. They knew we were living below our means by 2 orders of magnitude. They knew we clearly meant to be exactly where we were because we sure didn't have to be. They knew that they didn't have a snowflake's hope in hell of pricing us out on taxes. So they tried nagging us to death and coming right up to the line on harassment, always to talk to us about joining the HOA. They failed. They got told by one expensive lawyer to find something else to do before we all got super busy helping them find things to worry about, and so they desisted for some years. Then my wife and I moved and got the property set up as a rental. Absolutely Not Ryan Homes starts bothering our tenants there, both trying to get them to pressure us into putting the property into the HOA, as well as getting our tenants riled up with the most outrageous lies about what could happen if we, the owners, don't protect our renters better. My wife and I were livid after hearing about this crap, and so we got a hold of Definitely Not Ryan Homes to let them know that this was our formal request that they stop bothering our tenants, and that all further communications would be from our really expensive lawyer. They must have assumed we were bluffing, or maybe whoever was in charge of thinking that day didn't show up for work because they just kept right on with their nonsense. It got so bad that they were even sending fake but convincing looking envelopes with eviction notice that, upon being opened, said, could be what you would find in your mailbox one day without our wondrous HOA, and containing information about the benefits of the HOA. We gathered it all up and got the tenants to talk to our lawyer and got the police involved to get the ball rolling on a harassment investigation. Another formal request to cease and desist was sent to Never Ryan Homes by the very expensive lawyer, which they utterly ignored. I think their guy that's supposed to come to work and think about things quit a long time ago. Maybe he never told anyone. Maybe nobody noticed. Whatever the situation on their end, when my lawyer talked to their lawyer told my lawyer that their client was doing everything legally, and that if we wanted to pursue the matter in court, that was what we'd have to do. So, we did. I'm not sure what kind of lawyer magic my lawyer and his fellow legal demons worked on this front, but we were in court for 1 single hour when my lawyer and their 4 lawyers and the judge had a private talk after the preliminary hearing. Half an hour later, and the lawyers from maybe Ryan Homes came back into the courtroom looking like a quartet of cats that had been pissed on. My lawyer takes a seat beside me and says, they're going to settle, and I was like, I didn't think we were that far along into this yet, what happened? And he said, they built 51 homes in County of Concern over 2 years. Every single one of them was inspected before close of sale by a real estate agent that never actually got around to getting her home inspector license. And that's how Was It Ryan Homes the whole time paid me 10 grand to not sue them while they got bent over by the county and the state and tag team like the new boy with the pretty lips in a prison yard. I guess they found out that signing legal documents without the appropriate authority to do so is kind of frowned upon sometimes, maybe just a little bit, but unfortunately only when they get caught. OP probably could have done a lot more damage in this case if they'd sent a letter to everyone in that HOA saying, hey, it's class action lawsuit time. This next story comes to us from Game of Thrones Addict. I'm a bad employee? Okay, let's jump right in. This happened a couple of years ago. I just still feel angry every once in a while about my time with this company and working for my managers for multiple reasons. This may or may not fit exactly malicious compliance, but it felt good to do so. So for about 8 months, I worked at one location of an office supply chain store. My position was a tech sales supervisor. Essentially, when someone comes up for a computer, printer, label maker, etc., pretty much everything electronic that the store sells, I help customers and answer questions. During that time of helping, we have to ask a series of questions trying to get at upselling other things in the store and also our in-store warranties to convince them to buy more things, so essentially the company can make a bigger profit off of each customer. My direct manager was overseeing the sales of the entire store, and since my department was where the big ticket items were, he worked more extensively with my coworkers and me in that department more than most others. And since I was the supervisor of that department, that meant he would hound me the most often. Now, I admit that I quickly realized I didn't have a strong sales skill, which is one of the things that led to the eventual decision to leave. Though how he treated me was also a strong reason too. He and I had very different personalities that conflicted, or rather, he was too conflicting in and of himself and he didn't realize it. Examples include, I could count on two hands how often he would confide in me that he doesn't know why customers would turn him down when he tries to upsell to them and only buy the things that they came in for and nothing else. Then, in the next breath, 10 minutes later, when I would talk with the customer, he'd complain that I'm not succeeding at the very same thing he was ranting about him struggling with just moments before. He would list 5 to 10 things for me to get done that day. I'd start working on them, but later he would find me and complain that I'm not doing what I should be doing, and part of my job is severely lacking, even though I was doing what he told me to do that morning. They seem to limit the number of employees down to, most of the time during the week, only one person on each department or station at any given time. That would lead to me missing sales opportunities because I was with one customer already and another would walk in and just grab something in my department and go buy it. Every other time this would happen, he'd complain I missed another opportunity. Even when I explained to him why, that didn't seem to matter to his small brain. Not being able to clone myself and be in two places at once is a flaw that can be held against me. One day, I walked into work and realized the day before, my sales manager made a huge sale with the computer. A couple of software items that needed to be installed, in which it was in the process of doing since it was hooked up from the day before. Normally, with certain items being installed, we work with a third-party IT company that works with the computer remotely to set things up. During this particular time and computer though, there was some issue with one of the software pieces that the customer bought, and the IT department was having a hard time in setting it up. It ended up taking all day, and the customers eventually got tired of waiting and just returned everything. That of course made my sales manager pissed when I told him. And of course, within a week, I got my first official write-up. With the write-up, it was with my sales manager and the store manager. During the write-up conversation, my sales manager brought up all the examples as mentioned earlier as why the write-up was happening. He brought up my sales ability was severely lacking when it came to the in-store warranties, as well as upselling other things. He brought up me missing opportunities with customers I didn't talk to at all. He brought up that I didn't get things done that needed to be done. In this whole time, I was contemplating my response when he was outlining why I was the subject of this disciplinary meeting, thinking that this could be a result of what happened the week before. After he was finished, I began asking my own questions. The first response being that, those are good points. However, you did mention my sales ability. How is it that you're using that as one of the reasons when you yourself have told me that even you're struggling to get the customers you've talked to bite on and buy more than what they came in for? He acted taken aback for a moment before asking what I meant. I retorted with, oh, you don't remember the times in which you told me yourself you don't know why customers aren't buying things from you, the person who's twice my age and has been here for 20 years? He became a bit frustrated with my smart butt remark and said, this meeting isn't about me at all, let's stay focused here, as he goes off about the other points he made as well, trying to get off that subject quickly, during which time the store manager had yet to say anything. After he is done speaking, I brought up another point he made. You say I missed opportunities with customers even when I didn't speak to them. The only reason as to why I would do that is because I would be talking to another customer that came in first. I'm not about to ditch one customer just to start chatting up another. I would think that doesn't look professional on my part. We severely need more than just one person in my department at any given moment if that's something that corporate is upset about. And that would even help me with not getting certain things done as well. Getting increasingly flustered, he cut me off there and stated, "It's not in the budget at this time to increase other people's hours. With you being the only full-time employee in your department, it's expected that you are the one who has to work, and it's on your shoulders to keep your department in good shape, and apparently you're not able to. Maybe this isn't the best job for you if you can't keep up." The managers pressured me to sign their write-up form to acknowledge that we all went over this. After that, I was fuming mad and took my first 15-minute break for the day to calm myself down. Knowing that nothing would be changed, fighting this would be a moot point. After about a month's time of looking, I found another job which was going to start me the following week. That next day, I walked in, went up to the sales manager, and handed my company-provided t-shirts and quit. He acted all shocked, stating, "But we need you. Your shift starts in 10 minutes. I sighed and stared at him saying, "You know what? I thought about what you said and you were right. I'm not up for this job." Then I turned back and left. This was February of 2020 when this happened. I went to that store recently just out of curiosity and to buy some ink for my printer, and there were not even 5 customers in the store, including myself. There wasn't even anyone working in my old department from what I saw. Guess they didn't replace me either. Talked to one of my ex-coworkers, and she said that the company had to resort to selling video games and consoles to keep up with them losing money. I couldn't help but laugh. The biggest takeaway from this is that a manager can make a job horrible. You may love the job itself, but when management is a piece of junk, it just makes the job horrible. Your best course of action in that case is to look forward and never look back. OP, I hope you enjoy your new job. Check out all 4 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.